All right, we are live, Mr. Muchastegi.
We are live. All right.
Let's make sure. I'll check our Facebooks and everything.
Cool. Our YouTube. Looks like we are live on our YouTube page. So that looks
we are live on Facebook.
Cool. All right, let's make sure we can see the comments. And Jack said he's excited to see us. He sees us out there. That is awesome. So it's 3 o'clock on the dot. Did we send out an email telling everybody to jump on?
Yes, we did.
All right. Hopefully they're opening that email right now and getting ready to join us. Looks like we've got some eyes on here as we hit 3 o'clock. So thanks everybody who is here, and I have a few more momentarily. Looks like we have 2 different backgrounds merged together when we're using this new webinar software. I think it's pretty awesome. But right now we see like a streaming live one, and there's like another background one. I got to turn off the background.
Yeah, and you've got the banner on the bottom is also saying that the webinar starts in April.
All right, that banner is incorrect. We are actually going right now. So if anybody is confused about the banner, and it's not that. Why am I not understanding how to do our banner? And everybody, don't worry. We are going to be going in just a second. We're just going to see if we can change out our settings. Curtis, do you see the way on your side to go in and add, chats and headers and things like that?
When we get chats, I know I can do that like that. Headers, I'm not really sure.
All right. Well, I think it's because we're both logged in as me, but everybody's here. So as people are starting to come on, thanks for joining us. If you're out there, do a like or a share, or say you can hear us. I know a lot of you guys are coming from Facebook, and some of you guys are coming from our YouTube channel. And just know that we're going to be able to hear you, or if you put the comments in, we're going to be able to see you. We're going to be able to answer it live today. So thanks for joining another webinar with us today. As Curtis said when he sent out the webinar invite, we wanted to go through a webinar that was kind of a choose your strategy webinar. So at Roddy's, one of our biggest lists, our biggest list is our pre-foreclosure list. So people buy our pre-foreclosure list and they do different things with it. But right now the world is a little different. So before, half of our people would buy the list and go to auction for sure. Some of our people would buy the list and try to postpone auction. Some people would buy the list and go try to buy the house before auction. And right now, everything's a little different because there's a fraction of the sales actually happening at auction. And so we have postings. We have slightly more postings this month than last month, depending on the county. Like some counties, we have twice as much. Some counties, we have half the amount that we had before. So we are getting postings, but we have had very few sales the last couple months. So we wanted to talk to you guys about strategy. And usually this is a webinar that we would do for somebody that just bought their list, and we're going to try to tell them what to do with their list. But right now it's going to be changed a little bit. And just that idea of trying to help people maybe pivot a little bit. How can you do your existing business plan, but what else might be out there during this like COVID crazy quarantine time? But the awesome thing, as we see out there, and we get to see so many of our members, most of our members are still subscribing, still checking in. More and more people are checking in on each of our webinars. Jack and Curtis have been calling all of our members, talking to you guys, asking you what can we do to make things better and everything else. So if you haven't got a call from Curtis or Jack yet, you will get one. But they are talking to like almost 50 of you guys a day, seeing what extra help we could do for you guys during this time. So we can start jumping right into it. Curtis, do you have anything to add before we get started?
No, we've definitely seen some momentum, like you were talking about, with postings being up. We're excited that we've got some new features. I know over the past couple of webinars, we've talked about having the live updates and early postings coming on. It's really exciting to be able to go through the research process and actually have those now. We've got live updates for probably 60% of our postings so far. And then also, we've already got postings for August and September showing up. So we talk a lot about us trying to provide value. If you have questions, one of the things that we try to do to provide some value for you is to have somebody manning our chat 24/7. So either Jack, Aaron, Paul or myself are always watching our chat. So if you have questions, make sure you go to chat and let us know what you have.
Yeah, that's a great point. Before we go into our slideshow, I just wanted to show everybody what that live update thing is. I mean, so much of what was happening before, so we always had a certain amount of houses that were scheduled for foreclosure, and then a small percentage of them would actually go to sale. That was one of the things we would teach people on, how to use the list based on those formats. Well, right now, when instead of having 20 sales happen in a county, when we're only having 2 or 3, we thought it was more important for you guys to be able to do this. So live updates is this button here. So if you go into our products, you go into your foreclosure product and you hit live updates, you can see in here, we even have some postings in here for September. There's a property scheduled for foreclosure in September already up in Arlington. In August, we've got one. Let's see how many we have in July. These updates just started coming in today. We've got 63 houses already scheduled to go into sale in July. And then we've got our June ones. And so for June, you can select this live updates, and then you can choose it by county. So I can go down here and say, I want to see what is going on in Travis County right now, and search. And so you can see in here, we've got, some of these that are in here, we have a bid available. So here's an opening bid for one of the properties. Here's another opening bid for a property. That's a good tool for you to say, hey, there's a good chance this one is going to sale. It hasn't canceled yet. And this is what the opening bid is. So you can quickly look at what you think it's worth to see if that's one you should be targeting. If it's worth $500,000 and the opening bid is $343,000, then this is one you can go laser focused on to try to get extra info. Down here, Mount Rainier has an opening bid of $267,000. Tax value is $300,000. So it looks like there's probably some room there. $343,000. Here's a tax value of $695,000. The opening bid's $500,000. So when you get to see those, you can see which ones to focus on. I don't see many cancellations yet in Travis County, but we'll have a lot of these as they continue to update. Curtis, do you know a good one that would be a good one to pull up that you did see a bunch of cancellations on?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas County, we were working through earlier today, so there should be stuff
Dallas
there.
is getting updated right now. So you can go in here and see that of the original list that was there, if you were somebody that's trying to buy houses at auction, now there's already a dozen of them that have canceled, maybe more. It looks like more than that. We've got some opening bids on some, so you can decide if you want to target them or not. So those are ones that are likely to go to sale and they have a bid. You can see canceled, update not available. So really the idea with this is saying less houses are actually selling right now. But here's a great way for you guys to go and see, hey, instead of starting with a list of 100, you're going to start with a list of 60 or 70. So the effort that you use for auction is going to be better spent.
One thing I'd add to that is also just to mention that we're always updating this. So if you go and check today and you see 20 canceled properties, let's say in Dallas County, if you go the day before the auction or the Friday before the auction, you'll probably see a lot more. And so as we get closer and closer to the auction, we're going to find a lot more cancellations, and we're also going to get a lot more updates from our trustees that we're partnering with. So that means cancellations, confirmations that they're going to go to the auction, and then also opening bid amounts.
Yeah, and the other place you could see some of those opening bid amounts here is when you actually go into our section, and if there is an opening bid on our regular view screen that you guys are all used to using, it'll come up over here as well. So we have right here, we have some opening bids getting posted inside here. And so that we have it in all the same places. So we have new places for it, but at the very bottom, you see an opening bid. So these ones don't have opening bids yet. You can even filter them to say, hey, you just want to look at ones that are canceled or just want to have some that have opening bids. So really excited about that new thing we've been trying to do. Everybody seems to love it. It really helps everybody stay more focused. So, all right, today's office hours, real estate update and strategy. So Curtis, before we go into some of the charts I have, what are we looking at for foreclosure statistics right now for June? Because we know the postings in May that were posted for the auction that happened a few weeks ago. I mean, it was way down. It went down from an average of 5,000 a month to something like 2,500. What are we looking at for June, and what are some of those counties that have gone up or down?
Yeah, so June was an up month just on that gross total across the state. Some of our major counties were up and then others were down. So Dallas County and Tarrant County both had about 5 to 10% lower or less postings in them this month. But like Bear County had more postings this month. So we didn't see a great correlation across either metro areas or county sizes as far as posting volume. As an aggregate, though, we are up from May posting levels. Actually, in May, that was one of our first months to have less than 2,000 postings in the state. And then in June, we actually had, I think we had 2,200 so far. So, obviously we're up a little bit.
Numbers are up a little. So that is progress, but that's some of the stuff that we're going to show. So we'll talk about the housing market changes today. When we go into some of our different statistics. So I just wanted to break out a few of our different areas to show what's the real estate market like this month, what happened for sales. And so because we've been talking a lot on our Real Estate Rockstars podcast and some other things of showing people, here are the statistics. So the story that we've been saying the most is sales are still happening, but there's less of them happening. And so you have to work a lot harder to get that sale, work a lot harder to find that. And here's a good example of that. So in Austin, we had, the blue number is the number of sales, just the number of houses that did sell. There was 2,000 that sold in January. It went up in February. By March, it was 3,000 and something. And in April, it drops down pretty significantly at a time when we are used to seeing it go up. So they were probably expecting to see like 3,500 sales. Looks like maybe there was around 2,500 sales in Austin. So down by maybe a third, almost a third. If we go into Fort Worth, we see a similar update, right? So the seasonally adjusted, April is usually, so they had a great, January, February, March, following over to months past, and then these are the crazy anomalies. This is why we're experiencing history right now. If you look at these charts for like the last, many, many years, you can see that January, February, March, we get these seasonal, real estate cycles in Texas. But here again in April, big chunk down, big drop from 3,000 sales to 2,500. The really, in a week and a half, we'll have the updates for the May sales, and we'll get to see, did that trend stay down? Did it stay even, or has it started to climb back up? As people are starting getting out of, shelter in place, we're going to be able to, see if there's an influx of people wanting to get out there. Chris Burrow he just came in there. He said, hey, we're 22% down in current listings is a comment we just had come through in YouTube. So I would believe that Chris is one of the agents out there that's looking at the data. So we could be down 22% in current listings. So then I would guess that May, we're going to see that similar decrease compared to April. And as we go down, another market to look at is San Antonio, another one of our peak markets. The data wasn't out in Harris County yet for Houston. I tried to get that data this morning, and they haven't released their April numbers yet, at least in the format that I was pulling them from. And here's an interesting thing. So San Antonio is down, but not as significantly as the other places. So whereas San Antonio was one of the really strict places, they tried to, cancel auctions almost exclusively out there, but they didn't have that much of a drop in sales compared to where they were expected to be. So every market's a little bit different, but so far it looks like everywhere in April we had less sales than March. Something that's fantastic though, shelter in place happened that second week of March. And even though that happened, when you look at this statistic here for March still outpaced February, even though half of March was on shelter in place. So Texas has done better and performed better with this real estate market than so many states in the country right now. Here's some foreclosure statistics I wanted to share with you guys. Roddy's is the only place out there that has the historical data for foreclosures, not only what got posted and what got sold on a statewide level. So I was able to pull this all the way back from 2005 when we started actually going to the auctions, recording the sales, and being able to sell that list to members like you guys. So we can see back in 2009, 2010, statewide, there was over 30,000 postings in the month. So we would have a lot of them, of those almost 10,000 sales statewide. And so we had a lot of different times that would change. And then I have a note in here, the robo-signers moratorium. So near, beginning of, it's like mid 2010, I think it was maybe October, November 2010. Back, they said, hey, there's too many foreclosures going on. There's too much robo-sign. There's all this stuff in the courts. Let's postpone the foreclosures. And so that's kind of what we're in right now. So I want to show the difference in the moratorium last time. Postings went way down, and about 9 months after they first called that, they spiked, and they went way down here. Now they didn't go to zero, but they went way down. After the moratorium lifted, it went up. Now back in like 2012, this is when hedge funds entered the market in Texas. They started buying a lot of houses. And so many people were able to sell their houses. Prices had increased, so a lot less people were in foreclosure. because the hedge funds started buying really aggressively out here in that big push in 2020. Now, and then we've seen foreclosures gradually going down, the number of postings statewide gradually going down and staying pretty steady since around 2016. So we go into this next one. This is just the last few months. And so what I've got here is this yellow is how many sales should be getting posted if COVID, forbearance, moratorium, shelter in place didn't happen. So we should be having, in April, we should have had 5,700 postings. Right? In May, we should have had 5,500 postings. In June, we should have had over 4,000. And this blue line is how many postings we actually had. So the yellow line, how many people were actually in default, should have been getting scheduled for foreclosure. The blue line, how many are cut almost in half because of the laws. Lenders are confused about what they're allowed to be able to do. A lot of people out there are trying to figure out what they are allowed to do with this information. We're seeing sales happen. Most of those sales that are happening, we saw several that were with US Bank last month. You can get those on our struck off reports and looking at different areas if you're trying to see that. But in a lot of other places, it was private lenders. It was small private lenders. We didn't see, I don't think, any sales from Bank of America, from Wells Fargo. Those big lenders, they just said, hey, we're just not going to do any foreclosures at all right now. And they didn't sell anything and hardly any postings while they're trying to figure out what to do. Now this green line here is how many houses we're supposed to sell to third party or to a bank, actually go to auction, because when we had them scheduled, that's how many went. The red number was how many actually sold. And so you could see that red number is 0. If we go back again, remember, it never went to 0. We'd had moratoriums in the past. We had legal intervention in the past, but and really that means there was 20 or 30 statewide in different areas. But that to us is 0 compared to our normal numbers. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that. I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can capitalize on that. And because of the ones that did happen, we saw some really good deals, sell at auction because not enough people were there, not enough people were prepared for it. So the reason this part's important is because that is a buildup of, what we'll call like shadow inventory or postponed inventory or foreclosures that are going to pent up demand, pent up foreclosures. And so in May, there was an extra 3,000 that should have been posted that weren't. In June, there was an extra 2,000 that should have been posted that weren't. July, we're going to see something similar. So that means every month we're adding like 2,000 or 3,000 that as soon as the forbearance gets lifted, we're going to see them all come into auction. And so if every month we're stacking 2,000 and 3,000, 2,000 and 3,000, as soon as that gets released, we're going to have 15,000 postings, 20,000 postings, levels that we haven't seen since 2012. And so one of the reasons we're trying to do more of these webinars is get you guys ready, get you guys prepared for what you can do for these foreclosure listings, because once they come back, there will be more than we've seen in a really long time, huge opportunities. And this is also, the green ones are the ones that should be selling. A lot of these vacant abandoned properties, places that haven't made a payment in the last 6 months, they have they're not even allowed to be in forbearance, to fix that loan. And so again, that's $1,500 a month that should be actually selling to a bank or selling to third party. And we're going to call that our pent up demand. So we believe that when it gets turned back on, we're going to be hitting numbers of postings that are up here again. So we're going to see this curve go down. We're going to hit here. We actually have some more statistics and some predictions on when we think that's going to happen. If you guys want to see that, I'm going to talk about it for a full 30-minute session. In 2 weeks, we're doing our first Roddy's Online Summit. So this time, we were supposed to have we had a hotel booked that we were going to do a big event, invite all of our members to come out to, 2 awesome days. And that had to get postponed because, hey, no one's allowed to go out and do big events anymore. So now we're finally ready. So June 3rd and 4th, we're going to have that summit. One of the things we're going to talk about is some of those statistics and what month we think you need to be ready for. That summit's going to be all day. We've got a lot of guest speakers coming in. We're going to talk about why real estate. We're going to go into the real estate, projections. We're going to go into the 5 steps, how to filter your list, how to drive houses, how to do title research, how to comp your houses. This is a full 2 days. So we'll have an hour-long session about how to comp houses. We'll have an hour-long session about how to get ready for auction. We'll have an hour-long section about how to do those phone numbers, all with pros around the U.S. to do that. If you want to sign up to go to that, it's totally free. You should start signing up now. I'm not sure how many people we're going to be allowed to bring into the Zoom chat on our link. So the sooner you're signed up, the better. So to get that, I think what we do is we go to roddysummit.com and you're going to hit up here and here's going to be the form. Put in your email, your name, who referred you. You know, a lot of people, a lot of our guest speakers are reaching out to their lists right now too. So they're going to be putting it in there. Go to roddysummit.com, RODDY summit.com. Sign up. It's going to be free, 2 days. A lot of like stuff that we've never shared before on that level, that if you've never done anything with foreclosure or distressed properties before, if you log in and you pay attention for those 2 days, you're going to have a really amazing experience and you will be off to the races. So that's June 3rd and June 4th. Go register now, roddysummit.com. All right. Choose your strategy. So this is the part that when someone first signs up for our services, you know, they've gone to auction and they've seen something, or they heard some buddies that were buying auctions. And so they sign up for a pre-foreclosure list, and now they get this list of houses. And they just kind of assume, okay, we're going to go to auction, but what do we do next? And so we wanted to be able to help coach all of you to decide what you should be doing, you know, with that list, right? Because there's a lot of different options. So in Texas, you know, when houses are scheduled for pre-foreclosure, so 3 weeks before auction, someone gets a notice that says you have not made your payment and you are scheduled to go to foreclosure auction the first Tuesday of the following month. Now, usually of those that get posted, 25% of them sell at auction, 20%, something like that. A good percentage have been selling at auction every month. Now, right now, and this last couple of months, the percentage was almost zero. So some sales are happening again. We're standing at those auctions. We will help you and we'll get those stats, but there's a lot less than before. So a pre-foreclosure lead, they get scheduled. It says, hey, you have not made your mortgage payment. You are going to get scheduled. So you have 3 options to attack that lead. One is you could try to buy that house before auction. One is you try to buy that house at auction, or you can try to look at the results of auction to do some different things with that list. And so those are the 3, you know, main tracks, and they're 3 different tracks. And so when you're trying to decide, do you want to buy at live auction or do you want to buy before auction, what makes that decision for you? And so what I say on there is that is this, right? So it's the what impacts is time. So one of the things that'll help you determine what you're going to do is how much time do you have to work this. If you've got a lot of time, if you're able to go drive by all the houses and talk to all the people and call all the people and send postcards to everybody, then you're going to be able to attack a lot of different options. If you have a small amount of time, you know, most of our members buying houses, buying real estate, this is like what we're doing on the side for our retirement. It's not what people are doing full time. And so that's going to impact which lead you're going to go after. The other thing that's going to impact that is your investment amount. And so when I say investment amount, it's if someone has $10,000 or $20,000, they are not going to be able to buy on the courthouse steps live unless it's a very unique property. I mean, so if you're buying on the courthouse steps in Texas, you have to provide 100% of the cash needed at the courthouse. And so that's going to help determine if you have enough money to buy at the courthouse, you're going to buy at the courthouse. If you have an investor to buy at the courthouse, you'll be able to buy at the courthouse. But you know, you need that amount of money to do it. And the next thing is your goals. You know, how much profit are you hoping to make? You know, what are you hoping to do with those houses after? That'll help us get there. And then there's that flips or rentals. Curtis, can you jump in for a second and talk about what would be the difference with some flips or rentals?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people when they're purchasing a flip, they're, you know, obviously you are trying to get that property on the market in the shortest amount of time, and really, you know, with a rental, you have a little bit more runway. And so, you know, when we're looking at a flip or looking at a property, we have one price that we assume that we can pay for a rental, and one that we have for a flip property. So it really depends on if you're, you know, looking for a rent, you're looking for something that's going to give you a certain percent return on that investment. So some people they'll buy a property assuming that they're going to get a 7 or 8% cap on that. And then others say, hey, if I'm going to buy a rental and I'm going to be exposed for that prolonged period of time, I need a 10 or 11% return. So typically on a rent, you're looking for when you're comping that property, you're also comping it differently. You're probably not as concerned with the current market and the resale value at that point. You're really saying, hey, what can I rent this for? And if I do rent it for, X, what will that return be?
Cool. Yes. And you know, one of the things that's the difference between that flip or that rental, right? So a flip, you're going to be able to get more money in the short term. So if you buy $100,000 house, you probably expect to have, $10,000 of immediate profit that you're going to get on that, but you're only going to get that as you work more. A rental is something where you might only make a profit of $100 a month or $200 a month, but that's a very long-term plan. And so, personally, I like to invest and do both. I like to do some flips that are going to be that short-term income on how to survive and try to get a rental or two every time I do that. That really helps for times like right now. Everything has changed. We can't buy as many houses on the courthouse steps. If you have a bunch of rentals right now, it's a little bit safer than if you didn't have any. So those are some of the things that could impact you on your goals for rentals versus flips.
Yeah, and we have a lot of investors that they'll actually buy, like you said, I buy a couple of flips and a couple of rentals every time. They'll fund that rental purchase with the profit they make for the flip. So a lot of people don't have 300,000 or 400,000. They can go keep buying properties. So they'll flip 2 or 3 properties, make a decent profit on that, and then they'll use that profit to go buy the rental property and hold that long term.
Yeah, one of the questions that just came up from Angie said, will the summit be available to watch later? And so right now, you just want to register for the live summit. There will be an opportunity to kind of buy the recordings of it, but the free summit is to be there during those 2 days. So and I think when it first gets sent out to you, there'll be a chance to buy all of the recordings for the summit early for like $99 or something like that. Once the summit is over, though, all of those recordings are going to get packed up into different training programs and stuff that we're selling. But if you're with us live, it's completely free. So if you can spend the 2 days with us, you won't pay a dime to learn as much as you can at that summit. So I think that's an important thing to think about. All right. So as we jump down into choose your strategy. So I talked about those 3 different versions. And so we have you could buy the house before auction. And so if you only have 10,000 or 20,000 or no money, right? The other thing about buying the house before auction, you can actually do this with no money at all if you can work out the right deal. Or if you have cash or a cash investor, you would do it at auction. So right now at auction, I think that's your potential for the highest profit, because the houses that are selling are huge profit because very few people are there and prepared and ready. But right now there's going to be a lot more deals that are happening before auction, especially because of forbearance. There's some unique opportunity right now it's never really been possible before in Texas. And so it's going to be important for people to look. So we look at the steps of, how are you going to buy the house before auction right now? So your step 1 is you're going to get the list, right? So you get a list, you can go to the county and get some of that and try to, go to a bunch of different sources and get it. You can buy the list from us, and our list has the size of the house, the values, things like that, owner names, everything, where it's a finely tuned thing where you can filter the types of houses that you want to get. So second is filter. So on those ones of these people that you're going to be able to try to make a deal with ahead of time, if there's an opening bid that's already too high, you have to think that's going to be the amount that the lender is going to be willing to take if you can buy the house before auction. That's going to be really close to the debt that's owed. So if you realize you need to buy the house for $300 and the opening bid is $400, then that would be one that you would take off your list. You're not going to go after it right now. The other thing you want to do to filter that list is on our Roddy's list, you can go through and choose houses with equity. So you only want to be reaching out to people before auction that actually have equity. So that means if the house is worth $100,000, you want to find somebody that only owes $70,000 or $80,000 on their loan. The ideal situation is now you can buy it from them for a discount, but still more than what they owe. It's the ultimate win-win. They get some extra cash in their pocket, and you're going to have that opportunity to be able to flip it or rent it or things like that. So first you get your list. Second, you filter it. Third, you do outreach, right? One way of outreach is just go knock on the door, and say, right now you can wear a mask if you're going to go knock on the door. You can take a few steps back. I think people are a little bit more nervous than they ever were before, but knock on that door and you say, hi, I'm Aaron. I saw this house was scheduled for auction. It might be postponed right now. Would you like to talk about your house? Now, the part that's really unique right now is most of these houses are getting postponed automatically for another few months. So whereas before we used to have to tell them, hey, if they answer that door, I've got 2 weeks to buy your house from you. Let's work this out. Now you could actually work out deals where you have more time on that. So you're going to do a door knock. You're going to call. You're going to door knock and say, hey, I'm here. Let's talk about your house. And sometimes people are going to shoo you away, and other times you're going to get to have a good conversation. The second one is door hangers. You can just leave door hangers on the door, right? I got my dog scratching on the door to come in right now. I'm gonna let my dog in. This only happens in the quarantine world, right? All right. No more dog interruption, I hope. But really, I've got 2 dogs and kids, and the fact that a kid hasn't interrupted us yet, we're pretty lucky. We leave door hangers on the door, and that can say whatever your business is and what your niche is. Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm trying to buy houses that are scheduled for foreclosure before auction because I want the owner to get some money in their pocket, and I want to be able to use it as an investment later. Or hi, I'm Aaron. I'm trying to buy a house before auction at a discount, but so the owner gets some money, and I like renting back to the people that live there. Whatever your plan is, you can be as quick and as honest as you can and say, this is my plan. This is what I would like to do with your house. Call me if you're interested. Some extra things I would add to those door hangers right now is I would say, hey, right now more than ever, you've got more time than ever before. So even though you're scheduled for foreclosure, a lot of people, they only have 2 weeks. They can't make a deal. We've got time. Let's make a deal. Let's make sure you walk away with some cash before this. Option 3 is sending out a postcard. You send a postcard to somebody and you say, hey, you're scheduled for, you're scheduled for foreclosure and I'd like to buy your house. Now, in the past, postcards weren't getting there quick enough before the auction would happen. But right now, it's a great method, especially if you look at the ones that are already scheduled for July and August and September. If you're subscribing to one of our areas that have the list that quick, you could send postcards out right now and start making that deal, because the house scheduled in July might not actually go to sale till actually like August or September now, more time you ever had. You can find the person on social media. When you have their name, you can try to plug in their name and that city and see if you can find them. And you message them, hey, are you the owner of this house? It's scheduled for foreclosure. I'd like to buy that house. The 5 is phone. You can order phone numbers on PropHawk and be able to reach out to people that way. You can Google and try to find phone numbers. There's all sorts of different ways. But if you are trying to find phone numbers, reach out to our team. Go to our chat, ask our chat, hey, I'm trying to reach out phone numbers. Can you walk me through that process on PropHawk? And there's also like mailing out letters. So I think really quick, I'll try to show you guys inside PropHawk. So if you're a member at FLS Online, then you are also automatically a member of PropHawk. And in there, you can go in and you can grab your Roddy list. So you go to prophawk.com. It's our portfolio builder. If you're managing properties you own, you can upload them in here. There's a mobile app with that. You can take pictures of your properties, all sorts of things. Go to Acquisition Roddy FLS Auctions. You can choose a month, choose June, choose a county, Bell County, and here are your properties. This is a whole nother way to be able to export your list. So you can get it on our normal website at FLS Online. It's also here. Once it's in here, you could actually say, hey, I want to send mailers. This pops up. All right, we could send letters or postcards for you. Postcards, 60 cents each. You want us to send them. Go through that order. You buy the postcards. Jack on our team, he'll reach out to you. We'll custom do that postcard and send it out on your behalf. So we've got ways to do postcards and letters and everything right now. That's also ways in there to get phone numbers, get email contacts. We've got some videos in our system on how to do that. All right. Oh, the other thing that we have inside PropHawk is we've got this CRM that you can go through and track your leads. Once you start actually making phone calls, you can bring them into here. Hey, here's a house that I'm trying to make a deal on. You can call them, negotiate them. If they tell you, hey, let's talk, I'm interested in selling my house, you move them over to hot lead. If you talk to them, they say, hey, I already sold my house, you move that to a dead deal. If you bought the house, you move to closed deal. So it's just a simple CRM that helps you track. You start with your outbound leads and move to the right. Once you've called this guy, you move him to communication. Hey, we're talking. Once he says, yeah, I'm interested, you move him to hot lead. Once you write an offer, you move him over there. This is just a free way for you to keep track of people. And it ties in nicely with some of our different auction services that we have inside here. All right, and then you want to make the offer. You make the offer between the amount they owe and how much the house is worth. A couple of different things. You could offer to list the house for sale. Again, pre-COVID and forbearance, we didn't have enough time. Right now, if you're an agent, you do have enough time. Reach out. In most of the cases, there's still going to be the few that go to sale, but more than ever, agents have an opportunity to say, hey, your house is worth a lot more money than you owe on it. Let me list it for sale right now. I'll be able to sell it, and we'll sell it before you go to foreclosure, and you're going to get the most money. That's how they're going to make the most money, is if they actually list it for sale. The way they're going to make the second most money is if you just offer to buy that house in cash. Now, this could be you're somebody that also buys at auction, but you want to get it ahead of time because there's less auctions. You're going to buy the house in cash ahead of time. 3 is to offer to buy like using seller financing. So the example with that is the seller could be, their loan could be $80,000, their house is worth $100,000, and they owe $5,000 in back payments. You could make them a deal to say, hey, I'm going to pay you $5,000, and I'm going to pay your $5,000 in back payments, and then I'm just going to make your monthly payments for the next 6 months while I go to, you're going to have to move out, I'm going to flip this house. So that's a way that why before auction you can actually invest with less money, because there's ways to actually buy the house, do negotiations that way. You can offer to buy it and get traditional financing. Whereas in the past, you might not have enough, but if you're approved for a conventional loan, you could tell somebody, hey, I'll buy your house for $80,000. You go get a loan. You've got a few weeks to do a normal escrow to be able to get that. And there's a lot of other ways that you can do that strategy. There's deed in lieu deals. There's like the seller financing. There's a lot of creative stuff. There's seller leasebacks. And so there will be different things that we're going to talk about during the summit about some of those creative ways that you can make deals happen, but just keep that in mind. We sell a lot of other list types for this strategy. We sell bankruptcy leads. We sell vacant house leads. We sell likely to sell lists. If you're a member of padhawk.com, it's PADHAWK. That's $99 a month. You can get all sorts of leads that match up with this. Again, foreclosures is our flagship product because we are the only people that have the whole list of foreclosures in Texas. Absolutely the only ones. So you can go to our site. If you're curious about, if you're going to try to buy houses before auction and you want to know what other services to look at, just go to the chat. And Jack or Paul or Curtis can get on there and tell you about the sheriff leads, the post-bankruptcy list, vacant house, all that other stuff, the probate leads, that sort of thing. So that's buying the house before auction. And right now, if you've never done this before and you've been one of our members, I would encourage you to try it, because for the first time ever, we have more time than we ever had before to be able to do that. All right, second, if we go to auction, this is the steps to buy at the auction. And this is if you have a large cash investment or if you have a large cash investor. Yeah, when I started buying at auction, it was just because I had investors. I was able to talk people into doing deals with me. And I said, hey, if you invest in this house, my first house, I said, I'll give you all the profit. And it was, I'll give you all the profit if you hire my wife to be the listing agent to be able to do it. And then I think I started to get 10% of the profit and then 25% of the profit. And 10 years later, now I get a lot more of the profit. Now I get between 50 and 70%, or now I can get lenders and different things. But I had to work my way up there. But I have very seldom ever bought with cash that was mine. Most of the time I bought a lot of houses using cash that was other people's money in different partnerships. So just because you don't have enough cash right now doesn't mean you can't do it. But you're going to have to become an expert. You're going to have to follow this system. Over the next couple of months, go find the people that can invest and tell them, hey, in a few months, there's going to be more foreclosures than they've ever been. I've been taking all these classes. I've been taking all these courses. I've been studying. I'm ready. All right, so step one is you're going to get the list. Step two is you're going to filter it, just like we did before, but you're going to filter things for houses maybe under 100,000. Maybe it's going to be between 100 and 200. That could depend on how much money you have. That could depend on if you want rentals or flips. If you want rentals, then you're going to go with lower price points, higher rent amounts. If you want flips, you could do a little bit of any. You also want to do what your specialty is. If you have reliable, really good contractors, then doing a house built in 1950 will be easy. If you're just getting started, I would recommend doing houses built in the last 20 years because it's a lot simpler process to be able to do that. But at the same time, if a house is built in 1950, there's not much competition in that. And so right now, there's a lot of different reasons. Figure out what your niche is. So you do your filter. Here's your niche. So you started with 70 houses in Travis County. Then you filtered it to your list, and now you've got 50 houses in Travis County. Now, at that point, go back to live updates. Number 3 says keep updating. So go back to our live updates and say, hey, is it still scheduled? Of those that you have left, now 10 of them have canceled. So you could take them off your list. They're no longer scheduled for auction. Maybe another 5 have opening bids that are too high. You take those off. Now you're down to that list of 25. And then you do the same things you were doing on the other ones. Knocking, door hangers, postcards, social media, phone, and letters. You go try to figure out as much as you can about that property. You can use Gmail to share the pictures. I used to go to properties, take pictures of them, email them to myself with the name and the subject line. I could search and find it, and it was free. We also have PropHawk, the thing that I just showed you. PropHawk is completely free, and you can use the mobile app, and it'll pull up your same properties. You can go to your June properties inside the mobile app, upload pictures, and it'll tag and tie to these properties on here. During the summit, we're going to do a whole hour showing you guys how to use that app, how to drive the houses, how to push it through. It should be some great info. But that's the next step. Go see the properties, track the properties. You're going to want to comp the houses. So during the summit, we're going to do a whole course on how to price the houses. But the idea with pricing is you're going to say, hey, I found the same size house that sold for $150,000. A lot like mine. I think mine's going to sell for $150,000. Then you're going to determine your bid price. You're going to say it's worth $150,000. I took pictures. I think it's going to cost me $20,000 for this contractor. This much for the profit. So I need to bid $105,000 as my max. Next, you're going to get your checks. Remember, at auction, you got to show up with cashier's checks. So So you're going to go get your cashier's checks. They're going to be written to your name or your business name. You want it to look like a wallet. You're going to have a $50,000 check, a $10,000 check, a $5,000 check. You don't just want a $200,000 check. Then you're going to go to the auction and bid, and that's how you're going to buy. The other list types we have for this strategy is the sheriff tax sale list. It's a slightly different format, right? Because it's the liens and things like that. One of the steps I didn't have on here was actually to do your title research. That's definitely an important step before you're buying as well. If you look at any of our layouts, we talk about our 5-step plan. The title research is in there too. And during the summit, we'll teach you for free how to do your own title. You can always go to roddytitle.com and order title reports, but we're trying to empower you guys to be able to do it yourself. Then you go to the auction. The sheriff sale list is similar, slightly different process on how to go buy that, but it's similar in the fact that it's a live auction and you're bidding against other people. The third thing that we have that I wanted to be able to touch on today is something unique to us that no one else has, and these are the results of the auction. And so let's say you didn't go to an auction and you've only been going to Dallas County forever, and now you're curious but you got outbid 2 months in a row and you're curious about where else you might be ready to look. You should buy a couple of our results, our struck off lists, we call them, at the counties around there and see if anything's sold. So you can find a county nearby and say, oh, this house sold, and this house is worth $200,000 and it sold for $100,000. That would tell you there's a lot of opportunity. It'll also help you miss an area. You could buy the struck off list and you could see that the house is sold, but all of them sold for really close to what you think the amount is. Different counties have different levels of competition. There are still some counties that I'll go to and only one person will be bidding, and there's no competition. So there's a lot of opportunity there. You'll see that in our struck off report. Or you could go to a county and there's 20 people bidding and it gets really, really thin, and that's where there's less opportunity. So you're going to use that to choose your auction. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to look at my struck off results. It looks like there's a good opportunity over here. That's where I'm going to go. We also have the unsold list. So this is a list of houses that were scheduled for auction but didn't sell. And so those are a good opportunity to go door knock again or send another postcard or a letter and say, hey, it looks like your foreclosure was postponed. If you haven't sold your house yet, I would like to buy it. And then, other people use our sold list for all sorts of different services. Contractors use our sold list to try to reach out to investors to say, let me rehab your property. Attorneys use that list. All sorts of people use the list of what got sold. So there's, as you guys look at this, our biggest thing we want to say was there's a bunch of opportunities to use the pre-foreclosure list. Coming up here in a few months, there will be more foreclosure scheduled than we've seen since 2012. It's going to be an amazing amount of stuff and not nearly enough people that are ready to go after it. So we think everybody should be trying to figure out now what their system is going to be. Right now, I would recommend that people pivot. I would say, and by pivot, everybody's been saying pivot lately. If you only bought at auction before, I think you should also try to buy before auction right now, because you have the cash ability. You know how to do your own title. You're going to be able to skip a couple steps in that process. People have. If you've only bought before auction, then now's the time to start trying to find investors to invest with you at the auction that's coming up and tell them, hey, there's going to be a big opportunity. Now's a good time to buy the list, go through the motions, show up at auction. Before I ever got my first investor, I went to like 4 or 5 different auctions, and I drove the houses. I bought the list. I came up with a max bid, and I showed up to auction to see, would I have bought a house today? And then I was able to take that list back to my potential investors and said, hey, if I would have had your money today, I could have bought this house for $108,000 and it was worth $150,000, and we could have made a lot of money. So that's one of those things that'll help you get that. So that's the end of today's webinar of Choose Your Strategy. We tried to answer the questions that came in the chat as we went. Curtis, are there any messages down there that you see in the chat that we missed?
No, I don't think we've had any additional questions come in through the other platforms.
All right, so the big thing, and you put Roddy Summit in the comments, so just remind everybody, hey, sign up for the summit. And for the people that were disappointed they're not going to be able to watch it live, sign up for it anyway. You'll never know where you're going to be when you're there. You'll get the email reminder that says, hey, the summit is going, the summit is live. You might not be able to sit in for all of it, but you can sit in for a lot of it. We're going to have a lot of great guests. We're going to have David Osborne's going to come on and talk. He's a huge investor, runs a big Keller Williams office. We're going to have David Green from Bigger Pockets. He's going to come on and talk to people about the BRRRR method and how to choose between rentals. We're going to have somebody from First American Title come on and teach us how to do title research and how to do that. Curtis is going to be talking about deals. Paul's going to be talking about deals. I met Trevor Mock from Carrot. It's an investor website building company, all sorts of different stuff. So a lot of great people on here that are going to be sharing all of their secrets. And it really is going to be a fun event. It's the exact event that we had planned that we were going to do live with all of you guys at a big event center in Austin. it got postponed, and it took us a couple months to shake it off and say, hey, if we can't do the big event, let's bring it live to everybody. So we're super, super excited about it. And I would beg all of you guys too to like tell people about it. You know, tell people that, hey, there's going to be this free summit. There's going to be a lot of foreclosures posted soon. If it's something you've been interested in, these guys are the pros. Nobody knows foreclosures as much as we know foreclosures. And I promise you, nobody wants you to be as successful at buying a foreclosure as Curtis and I do. We want all of you guys to be able to take these leads and be super, super successful. It is a super unique thing that's out there. You know, it's different than any other sort of lead type that's out there. And it's a big opportunity for people that are willing to work hard. Curtis, what am I missing? What am I forgetting? What are our big announcements?
No, I think the only thing that we want to bring up again is that Aaron talked a lot today about door knocking, putting hangers on doors, calling prospective sellers. Jack and I did a webinar 2 weeks ago. It's on our Facebook and our YouTube page. If you have questions or want little tips on how to speak or kind of different scripts to talk with potential sellers, go back to our Facebook or YouTube page and watch those webinars. We also, if you're trying to get ready for the auction that's coming up in 2 weeks or a little less than 2 weeks now, we also, Paul and I did a webinar last week where we talked about just how to prep for auction, what to look for, and kind of different tips and tricks for that. So, and as always, if you have questions, like I said in the beginning, go to our website, go in the chat or give us a call. We really want to answer your questions and help you be successful.
Thanks everybody for joining. Any last minute questions out there? If you're on YouTube or Facebook, all you've got to do right now is post a comment, and we're going to be able to and we're going to be able to answer to you live right now. So any questions about stuff today, any strategies, especially if you're somebody you're like, hey, I haven't chosen what my strategy should be, be sure to jump in. All right. If nobody jumps in, and if you're watching us after the fact, add the comments in here. Our team will be on here and answer it. Don't forget to sign up for the summit. We'll see all of you. We're doing another webinar next week. You keep an eye out. If you're not on our email list already, make sure you get on our email list. You can do that by going to foreclosure.info, flsonline.com. Sign up for the free sample. That'll automatically get you on our mailing list to make sure that you get all these updates. Sign up for the Roddy Summit. That's going to be the easiest way to get out there. And so one of the questions that just came in before we go, so this came from chat. So somebody came on the chat on there. It says, so Jack is grabbed us off the chat. So somebody says a starting bid from a trustee is typically close or exactly the amount they are owed. Correct. So it's not going to be higher than that, but it is typically that. So here's what happens. So if somebody owes $100,000 on their house, so they missed some payments, the opening bid could be as high as maybe 105 or 107. They're allowed to tack on some late fees, some auction fees, and some legal fees. So that's going to be around that 107. That is where most of them come out at. So what they owe plus a little penalty. Now, the unique thing that happens that most people don't know about is at the last moment, the lender can decide to sell it for as little as they want. They can't sell it for any more than 107. But if it's a really bad house, if it had a fire, or if they're just really eager to get rid of it, or they're trying to get that auction to go up, they could drop that opening bid to 25,000 or 30,000. So that's why we tell you, go after all of them, because the way you're going to make the best deal is if you're after all of them. And some people thought, oh, they're never going to drop that bid. Those are the ones you get the best deal on when somebody drops it at the last minute. So the trustee can't put it higher than that 107, but they can put it as low as $1 if they want. And I've been to several auctions before where the opening bid was $1. It ended up getting bid up to 50, 60, 100,000, but the opening bid was $1. And if only one person would have been there, that's what it would have sold for. And then we had another request for the link to the summit. That got put in the comments again, www.roddysummit.com, RODDYSUMMIT.com. So that's on the screen and in the comments. Any last questions? All right, go grab a free sample. Go to roddysummit.com. We can't wait to share more info with you guys. Have a good Friday tomorrow and a great weekend. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.